Hi YouTube, and hello out there to my Yahoo 360 friends. I'll be posting this video on both places. My name is Nate, and this is my first YouTube video. And I'd like to talk a little bit about why I support Ron Paul and a little bit about what he stands for. But first I'd like to say I grew up and was taught, ever since I can remember, that America was the greatest country on earth, that we were special, we were different. And the reason we're different and special is not that we have baseball necessarily, or that we're richer than everyone else, or that we're more powerful than anyone else. The reason we are special, according to what I have always been taught, is that we're more civilized than everyone else. We're more democratic than everyone else. We're more free than everyone else. And that means that we have laws that we abide by no matter what, that we all agree to. And they're set forth in the Constitution. And Congress is voted by all of us into power to protect that Constitution. The President is voted by us into power to protect the Constitution. And if they get out of line and do something that's against the Constitution, the Supreme Court is supposed to stop it. And so we have three co-equal branches of government, all there to serve this country. Not necessarily to lead us, but to serve us. And to make sure that we're free, to make sure that we have our rights intact, to make sure that other countries don't overrun us, or that tyrants don't oppress us. Not necessarily to make sure that we have something to eat tonight, or to make sure that no one offends us, or to make sure that we get whatever we want. It's there to make sure that we have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that's it. And in doing those things, there are certain things that we cannot do. In other words, in the act of protecting America, they're still bound by very rigid guidelines. And those guidelines, you could say, are very Christian values. You don't torture people. You don't kill people. You don't put someone in prison unless you're absolutely sure that they are guilty. And once you do put them in prison, you give them certain rights. You give them, even though they've committed a crime, you give them appropriate punishment. You can't punish them, as much as you want. You can't get revenge or torture them. In other words, the punishment has to fit the crime. So we're supposed to be extremely civilized in our dealings with everyone, including murderers and other convicted felons. And I believe somebody, I can't remember who it was, but someone once said that it's better that 1,000 guilty men go free than one innocent man sit in prison. And I think that's what our justice system was set up to ensure. It wasn't set up to ensure that everyone is punished no matter what. It was set up to ensure that only the guilty are punished. And as a consequence of that, there's a possibility that people will get away with crime. But there's much less possibility that people who have committed no crime will find themselves in prison for the rest of their life, or find themselves being tormented for some minor crime. And I think that's a very important principle that we're losing sight of these days. So anyway, I was always taught that the most important thing about America is our freedom. And the most important values that we have are our humanity, our compassion for others, and our civility. We have to tolerate views that we don't agree with. We don't have to like them, but we have to be tolerant in order to live with people that don't necessarily agree with us 100% of the time. And we have to respect the rights of individuals, no matter who they are or no matter what they may have done. Even a convicted murderer has the right to a just sentence. They have the right, even if they're going to be executed, they have the right to a swift execution. You can't just draw and quarter somebody or ring somebody out on the Iron Maiden. You just don't do that, no matter what they've done. And I find it pretty shocking and disturbing that in the past 6 years or so, I've had to defend not torturing people a great deal. And I've found myself in arguments with people who argued that torture was a good thing, that it should be used whenever we feel like using it. Because we're good and our enemies are evil, and our enemies would torture us, so therefore we must torture our enemies. Or I've heard the argument a lot that if there's a nuclear bomb about to go off in 24 hours and you have somebody in custody, you have to torture him so you can find out how to stop that nuclear bomb, which is of course nonsense. It's a scenario that has never come up, and yet it's a scenario that's used to justify torture in any circumstance. It's a particularly dangerous argument to make as well, because if you use that argument, you could justify literally anything. Anything. Should you torture a man if 1,000 men are going to die if you don't torture him? Sure. Well, should you kill 1,000 people? No, you shouldn't do that. Well, what if 1,000,000 people were to die if you didn't kill that 1,000? Well, sure, you should kill 1,000 people because you're saving 1,000,000 people. Well, what if 1,000,000,000 people were going to die? Should you kill 1,000,000 people? Well, should you kill 1,000,000,000 people? No. But what if 1,000,000,000,000 people were going to die? What if the entire world was going to come to an end if you didn't kill 1,000,000,000 people? Well, sure, you damn well better kill 1,000,000,000 people. That's the only right thing to do, right? Wrong. It's a false argument. You are not justified in doing something to prevent some other thing which you think might possibly happen, which might be worse. It's just not right. Likewise, you're not justified in torturing someone, no matter what you think might possibly happen if you don't torture that person.